ये जो देश है तेरा स्वदेश है तेरा तुझे है पुकारा ये वो बंधन है जो कभी टूट नहीं सकता. Hey folks, CA Rachana Ranade here and I welcome you all to a very informative video which is about the best investment opportunity for this decade. We are going to talk about this in absolute detail, but before we move on, I would like to thank these two viewers for their amazing comments. I hope you too are watching all the videos, commenting all your queries in the comment section, and I hope you all are aware about what's happening on our channel on this Teachers Month special. What? You don't know about this? Have a look at it. Well, coming back to our topic, now that we have to analyze the best investment opportunity for this decade, we are going to use certain parameters and we are going to analyze some top economies around the globe. So let's get started. Now let's try and analyze what's happening in the United States of America based on two parameters. Number one is GDP at constant prices and number two is their inflation data. I'm on Trading Economics website and you can see that there has been a decline in the GDP at constant prices, and it is said that theoretically if there is a decline for two consecutive quarters or back-to-back quarters, theoretically the economy is said to be in recession. So I hope you are understanding that USA on paper is already in a recession. How is their inflation position? So if you see, inflation has been rising continuously for a long time, but if you see immediate previous month figure, there has been a slight cool off in the inflation from 9.1% to 8.5%. But what is the target inflation rate of US Fed? For that I am referring to an article of IMF, and you can see here that Fed intends to bring it down to 2%. Now is that going to be a very challenging task? Yes, and if they really are able to bring it down to 2%, there is a great chance that it might hurt the growth rate of the US economy. Now let's compare both these data points with what's happening in India. So if you check India's GDP at constant prices, and you can see an amazing figure that it is continuously rising for the last 4 quarters. So no problem at all as far as GDP at constant prices is concerned. What about inflation? Have a look at this. Such amazing figures you can see from 7.79%. Basically it peaked out at this level and from that it is going down 7.04 and currently latest data it is at 6.71%. Now the question is, what is the target inflation? For that RBI had mentioned, or basically the Monetary Policy Committee of the RBI has said that we are targeting it at 4% but with a range of 2% on both sides. So 4% plus 2%, 4% minus 2%. So 4% plus 2% comes up to 6%, and as I mentioned, latest figure available is 6.71%. So are we very close to our target inflation figure? Answer is obviously yes. Well, I hope you have understood where does India stand in comparison with the United States of America, especially based on two parameters, that is inflation and GDP at constant prices. Now let's try and analyze what is the position of United Kingdom. So for that I'm again going back to Trading Economics website where you can see the GDP at constant prices. It's not that bad scenario. I can say that GDP is not increasing at a rapid pace, but at least it is increasing slowly and steadily. So not bad is what I can say for UK's GDP at constant prices. But where is the real pain point? That is inflation. If you see here, the inflation has gone up from 3.2% somewhere around mid of 2021 to 10.1% as per the latest data on July 2022. Now for a developed country like United Kingdom, a 2-digit inflation number is very high, and if you can see that the inflation has almost gone up by 300% in almost 1 year. Now what is the biggest problem because of which inflation is rising? That one point which is contributing to it is energy crisis. This article by CNN says that UK energy crisis is bigger than the pandemic. And if you read through this article, you can see some very key points which are written here. It mentions that the average annual bill currently stands at 1,971 euros, which is up by 54% so far this year. But it is forecasted to shoot past 3,500 euros. In fact, analysts say that the average household could be paying as much as 6,433 euros a year for natural gas and electricity come next spring if the government doesn't intervene. So I hope you have understood that as far as GDP is concerned, UK is not doing that bad, but as far as inflation is concerned, they are facing serious problems. Well, when we talked about developing economies and developed economies, generally this is what is the sequence which we have in our mind. But after listening to this last 4-5 minutes of our video, I hope you have understood that सारे जहाँ से अच्छा हिंदुस्तान हमारा. But this is the present scenario of India. The big question is, what aims do we have for the next 1 decade and also till India turns 100, that is India's 100 years of independence. For that, let's have a look at this. Few key points of India's vision by 2030 are as follows. Achieve 10 trillion USD GDP by 2030. Scale up the Sagarmala and the Gaganyaan project. EV sales penetration to 30% by 2030. Now moving on to India's vision while it reaches 100 years of independence. We have kept a vision to convert farmers to agripreneurs by further expanding e-national agricultural markets, that is ENAM. We are going to focus on infrastructure, health, education and ease of doing business. We plan to become a semiconductor manufacturing hub and thus pivoting from chip taker to chip maker. With optical fiber cables reaching in villages, India is bringing a revolution through Digital India to the grassroots level. How can we miss talking about India's UPI system, which is now redefining the payment systems throughout the world? Well, I hope by now you are totally convinced that the best place to invest is India. But it's good for people like you and me. आपण तर काय आरामात इंडियात इन्वेस्ट करू शकतो. What about people who are Indians but now don't fall into the normal resident Indian category but are now into the NRI category? Can NRIs invest in India? And for that, just keep on watching the video till the end. For all the NRIs who are watching this video, let me tell you at the outset that yes, if you want, you can invest in India. But the question is how? For that, step number 1, you need to have a bank account in India, which can be either or of 2 types. Which 2 types? It can be either an NRO account or it can be an NRE account. But let's go one by one, and first we'll take the example of NRE account. We'll understand this with the help of this example where we have Mr. Patel, who is an Indian born person. He's born in India, brought up in India, but currently is residing in United States of America for his own business, right? Now he wants to send money in India. Is that possible? Answer is yes. Can he take back his money to USA? And answer is again yes. So no problem in sending money from USA to India or from India to USA. Question is, will he have to pay tax in India for this? Answer is no. Why? Because he has earned the income in USA and he has already paid tax for that in USA. So for such type of remittance, you need not pay any tax in India. Simple deal here. Okay. Now Mr. Patel also has one amazing house property in Gujarat and he's getting some rental income for this property. Question is, can he transfer this rental income in his NRE account? Let's see. Oh, not possible. Now what is the problem? The problem is that in NRE account, you cannot deposit money which is earned in India. But then what's the solution? Instead of NRE account, if Mr. Patel opens an NRO account, now let's see what's happening. Now let's see if he can deposit the rental income in this NRO account. Possible. Then what about his money which he wants to send from USA to India? Done. From India back to USA? Done. Arey wah. So NRO account ideally seems to be the better choice as compared to NRE. But then wouldn't everyone open an NRO account? Now to know the answer, read this carefully. NRO account has a repatriation restriction in place of $1 million US. So that comes to approximately 8 crore rupees per annum. And if you want to repatriate an amount over and above that, then you need a permission of RBI. Well, now that you're clear with the difference between NRE account and NRO account, the question is that can you directly start investing in stocks which are listed on the Indian Stock Exchange? Answer is no. Second step, you will have to open an account, a demat account with any of the brokers in India. Well, I've tried to list out multiple brokers with whom you can open a demat account as per your choice, comfort and convenience. Just to help you to explain the whole process, I'm going to use the reference of Zerodha as I've been using the same for quite a long time. So now we have to understand that if you have chosen to open an NRE account, then you have to be sure that you open an NRE account with either or of these 5 partner banks. Zerodha has basically tied up with all these 5 banks and you can choose which one out of these you want to open an NRE account with. Once you open an NRE account with either or of these banks, the RM, relationship manager of these banks, will help you to open a PIS account. Okay. But on the contrary, if you have chosen to open an NRO account, then there is no restriction. You can open an NRO account with any bank you want. Okay. And once you open an NRO account with any bank, your account will be tagged into the non-PIS category. I'm sure you might be like, what's happening? What is this PIS? What is this non-PIS? For that, let's have a look at this chart. This account requires a permission letter from the RBI, but if you are opening an NRO non-PIS account, no such approval from RBI is required. If you are going ahead with an NRE PIS account, then you can invest only in the equity segment. But if you are going ahead with a NRO non-PIS account, you can trade either in the equity segment or in the F&O segment. But then you might be like, if I want to invest in both, if I want to trade in both, then what? Then you can open an NRE PIS account and NRO non-PIS account. NRE PIS account can be used for equity, NRO non-PIS can be used for F&O segment. Going ahead with the next point, direct mutual funds, GSEC, this is not allowed through PIS, but all these will be allowed if you are opening a non-PIS account. Wait, one word of caution here. It should be noted that if you are an NRI from USA or Canada, you might not be able to invest in mutual funds because of some compliance requirement issues, right? Going ahead again with the distinction, PIS, fund transfer to demat account, is a bit complex and can take up to 1 day. But if you are going ahead with a non-PIS account, instant fund transfer using net banking is possible. Also, brokerage is lower as compared to a PIS account, right? And the final point is that for PIS, the global restrictions on maximum NRI shareholding in a company by RBI are applicable. And if I'm talking about a non-PIS, no global shareholding restrictions are required. Before we wrap up this entire discussion, just 2-3 additional points. Can NRIs invest in SGBs? No. Can you do intraday trading? No. Can you do short selling? Answer is no again. But then, why are we discussing this entire video? Because 2 important points I wanted to focus through this entire video. Number 1, if you are an NRI, yes, you can invest in India. And number 2, is really investing in India worth it? And for that, I have told you so many positive points which are happening in India and which are going to continue to happen in India for the next 10 to 25 years, right? Now with this, should we be focusing on intraday and shorts and all these are minor points? Should we be focusing on futures and options? Nonsense point. Okay. If you are an NRI, ideally your thought process should be investing in India from a long-term perspective. And to do that, you can think about investing in equity, you can think about investing in mutual funds or even in GSECs. If you want to do that, the best possible option in my opinion is to go ahead with an NRO non-PIS account. Also, if you want to read more about opening a trading and demat account as an NRI, don't forget to check out the link in the description box below. Also, if you still have queries, you may write to us at support@rachanaranade.com and we will try our best to help you out. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope you have gotten a lot of information from this video. And if you want to know more about best breakout trading strategy, you can click here. And if you want to know the difference between traditional finance and modern finance, you can click here. Till then, take care. Jai Hind and bye-bye.